As the series progresses, we're seeing more and more of the world of Remnant. In particular, we're seeing more of the Faunus, one of the two intelligent species that reside in this world. Especially with Volume 4 and Volume 5, now that we've seen Menagerie, the place where a majority of the Faunus reside in this world. Initially, in the first 3 volumes, we saw mostly just mammalian Faunus, which are stated to be the most common types of Faunus. That is, Faunus that resemble, or at least have animalistic characteristics of land-dwelling animal species, such as cats, rabbits, dogs, etc. And it's been stated that Faunus only have one trait in common with their animal counterparts. They will either have ears, or a tail, or claws, but they will not have both. For example, if you take Blake Belladonna and Neon from Volume 3, they're both cat Faunus, but Blake has the cat ears, and Neon has the cat tail, but neither of them have both. And now that we've gotten to Menagerie, we've started to get more types of Faunus. We've gotten reptilian species, arachnid species, and even some other species mixed in there as well that we're not 100% sure what they belong to, but they're definitely not the conventional just mammalian species, you know, the just with the ears or horns or things such of that nature. We've seen ones that have just scales over their body, thought to be, all I would assume would be from a reptilian species. Granted, we don't know, but the most prominent of which, Ilia, being part chameleon, can change her color of her skin. Then we have Trifa, the arachnid Faunus that has the silk spinnerets in her hands and can shoot out the webs. We've also seen Tyrion, also an arachnid, can produce the scorpion venom from a scorpion tail. So not only do they carry the actual appendages associated with their animalistic counterparts, they also carry some functionality of the counterparts with them, secreting the spider web and the scorpion venom as examples. And also with the mammalian Faunus being able to use the fangs, retractable claws, things such of that nature. So they do carry some usefulness similar to what the animals would use them for. Now, this brings up a question when it comes to winged Faunus, because we've seen one in the series so far, the bat Faunus Yuma. And this begs the question of, where are the avian species of Faunus? Because in Menagerie, or at least the main city, if they were there, we'd likely see them, you know, flying around in the city and everything, and we haven't. And odds are that's likely because, at least in my opinion, they aren't residing in the main city that we saw, because we only saw one city on Menagerie, Kuokawana, the main city. And that's likely because, with it being so overcrowded in that city, and Menagerie as a whole, I'm guessing avian species wouldn't dwell there. Because, in my opinion, avian species are a thing in the world of RWBY, because we've seen Yuma with bat wings, so I'm guessing that it's just going to be a matter of time before we see winged Faunus. And they're likely not in the main city, as I mentioned before, because they have the wings and they take up a little bit more of the physical space, having 2 extra appendages out of their back, than other Faunus, and, you know, for lack of or not lack of a better term, but rather, pardon the pun, they need to spread their wings, and to do that they need a little bit more space. Now, we did see in, I believe it was in one of the World of Remnant ones, when they showed the map and the different divide up of the different nations, everything was color-coded, and Menagerie, down in the bottom corner, had their cities colored in yellow. And as we saw in that little, in the little map there was yellow cities also on the continent of Anima. So my guess is, or at least my theory would be, that the avian species might be on that continent, or at least maybe on a different continent, maybe one that wasn't thought of at the time, or somewhere else, but maybe they're not actually on Menagerie themselves. Now, the next question that's brought up, because I did bring up the point of functionality, if there are Faunus with wings, or rather the Faunus who do have wings, even Yuma using as an example, we didn't see him actually fly in this series. Yes, we did see him jump down to ambush Blake, but we didn't see him actually fly. Would the wings that Faunus have be functional? Now, there's a few issues with this, because as you've seen with birds, just in regular nature, their wingspan is quite large, which, again, would make sense. If Faunus had wingspan that large, they'd need a lot more space and hence wouldn't want to be stuck in the crowded places. But birds themselves need their tail, need their feathers for aerodynamics, and need to generate a lot of lift force with their wings to actually be able to sustain flight. And we've seen it in other series, and even, like, for example, X-Men with, like, Archangel and characters like that who are able to generate enough force to fly. But I think in the scope of RWBY, it would be very interesting to see having subspecies of Faunus be able to fly and all the capabilities that would come with that. For example, it'd be a great battle tactic to have them dropping dust crystals or modified weaponry of essentially aerial bombing as a battle tactic when it comes to likely another major battle when it comes to fighting Salem and everything like that, because the Faunus seem to be against Salem as of, Volume 5. They rose up against Adam, who was supporting Salem, so Salem's probably going to see them as enemy, but that's an entirely different topic. So would these Faunus have flight? And in my opinion, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to give some explanation as to why they would be able to sustain flight, because the size of Yuma's wings, they just don't seem like they'd be able to sustain flight for the size of being that he is. Granted, this is, a fictional series, so it could be entirely possible, but I don't think that they're going to be able to unless there's some other explanation with it. And then there's the question of what capacity they're going to appear in the series. Right at the moment, we have no idea whether they are segregated likely from Menagerie and the White Fang, so they're probably not associated with any of the conflicts that's going on, and my guess is might live in seclusion in some way, shape, or form, but with Yuma being associated with the White Fang, there's probably going to be members of them scattered elsewhere, but there's likely a tribe somewhere. My guess is one of the cities that's on Anima that we saw on that map, and it's going to be interesting to see how they appear, because we're going to be seeing little tidbits of Menagerie here and there, and they might be in a different city on Menagerie, we don't know at this point, but it looks like the main cast of RWBY isn't going to be going back to Menagerie in a while. It's just we might get to see more between Gira and Kali and the reformation of the White Fang, or not necessarily the White Fang, but whatever the new Faunus group is going to be called. We'll see a little bit of that, and maybe at that point see more of Menagerie, more expansive view of the Faunus. But at this point, I don't think we're going to see them just yet, but I do they're going to appear in the series, in my opinion, because we've seen winged Faunus, we've seen more diverse Faunus in the most recent volumes, and odds are that's only going to get more expansive. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm looking forward to learning more about the world of Remnant, more about the beings in it, and seeing what happens. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, whether you think winged Faunus will be more prominent in the series, whether you think they'll actually be able to sustain flight, and let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.